Let's bring this amazing meeting into session. Before we get started, I'd like to clear up some things from my last episode. So, I've been informed that traditional publishing doesn't cost anything, but in fact I was mistaking it for vanity publishing, which I'm not planning on doing. I was just misinformed. But also, people on Facebook are really mean. Like, I made one mistake and people decided to tear me apart in the comments. There was only 2 people that were actually nice and decided to properly inform me, with little to no judgment towards my ignorance. And for that, I thank them. But holy crap, these groups are supposed to be authors supporting each other. Meanwhile, none of them bothered to give a teenager any sort of mercy and calmly correct them. I've just been ignoring the comments and going on with my day, because after all, even if I hadn't made any errors, I doubt those people would support me anyway. So what does it matter what they say about me? Anyway, don't worry about the GoFundMe. You don't have to donate to it unless you want to help with like marketing or advertising. But otherwise, I'm looking into actual traditional publishing companies so that I can publish my book and get it on store shelves. Sorry for any sort of confusion that I may have caused. I was just misinformed and that is my mistake. So, now that we have that out of the way, let's get started on this week's episode. Deathchill. Narrated by Porscha Aubrey. Written by Porscha Aubrey. Chapter 3. A Bittersweet Surprise. I was never really the kind of person for sleepovers. It doesn't really matter how long I've known them. I always feel just a little uncomfortable. But I don't want to tell them that, or I'll still feel bad and stop having them with me. I look over and I see She with his butt in the air and head twisted 100 degrees, sleeping soundly, somehow. Hawkeye's curled up in a little ball. I don't know if she's breathing or not, but I'm sure she's fine. Samuel was sleeping so elegantly. I think he was dreaming about being a dancer or something, because he's jazz-handing in his sleep. I look over into the corner and I see Lucas bunched up into a ball, hiding under his covers. He makes it so obvious that we only met him yesterday. I go into my bathroom, brush my teeth and wash my face. Then I brush my hair and go downstairs. By the time I get down there, I realize that Des and Troy are already up. "Good morning, little sis," they both say in a freaky unison. "Good morning," I say as I start making myself some tea and prepare breakfast for everyone. "What are you planning on making?" Troy asked me, with his head cupped in his hands as he perches next to the counter. "Eggs, bacon, hash browns, toast, and fruit," I list as I open the fridge door for some of the supplies. Opening the door, silly string sprays all over me. I look over at Des and Troy, and they're both just sitting there with those pesky smirks all over their faces. "You guys are definitely my brothers," I say, chucking this silly string at them. "We'll get started. You go clean up," Troy offers me as he takes the pan out of the cupboard. "Thanks, guys," I say, heading upstairs. Classic Destroy. Why am I even thanking them? They're the ones that set up the little trick inside the fridge. I make my way back up to the room, and I see that my bathroom door is locked. I start to look around and notice that Lucas is no longer in his little corner. He must have woken up while I was downstairs. I finish getting ready and I head back to my room to see if Lucas is done yet. He's putting the pillow and blanket back on my bed in their place and starts making my bed. "Good morning," he whispers, noticing me. "I just felt like cleaning up a bit. Sorry if I'm bothering you." "Don't worry, it isn't. Breakfast should be ready soon, when you're done," I whisper back. All of a sudden, everyone wakes up. It's going to be really funny when Lucas becomes like this and starts looking at himself in horror because of it. "Breakfast!" everyone yells and runs downstairs. How do they even have enough energy after just waking up? "I'll clean all of this up first," Lucas says, standing in the middle of the sleepover battlefield and smiling. "I'll save you a plate." I walk out, leaving him in the chaos. "Thank you," he yells into the hall. I make it downstairs and see everyone chilling on the couch, watching cartoons, and talking with Des and Troy. What happened to getting started on breakfast while I was getting ready? I only took 3 minutes. Hey Lexus, sorry, we didn't feel like cooking. Troy smiles apologetically. It's fine. I shrug and head to the kitchen to begin cooking. Everyone's so full of energy, so early in the morning. They're watching some original show about making these cool creatures with powers fight each other. I can hear Lucas upstairs still cleaning up. Every few minutes I'd hear something fall or a bang, followed by a sigh or so annoyed it could make a baby feel bad. It's either everyone in the couch doesn't hear it or doesn't think they should act on it. After all, they all know what's going on. Hey Lexus, I'm finally done. Lucas greets me as he lazily walks down the stairs and takes a seat next to the counter. It sure sounded like you were having fun up there. I look at him with a laugh. Hey, Lucas, come join us. She looks over, waving his hand at him. Breakfast will be ready soon, I reassure him. He takes a seat with the rest of the wild animals on the couch, and I get to work on chopping the fruit and popping the bread into the toaster, arranging strawberries, bananas, kiwis, pineapples, and apples on the plates. The bacon, eggs, and toast are done. The hash browns are almost done. I look over and everyone is quoting the characters from the show, except for she. He's lost in a gaze, smiling at me. Can I help? He asks, noticing that I'm almost done. Sure, I say, watching him teleport beside me. He grabs plates and utensils, then sets them out. What would everyone like to drink? He yells to everyone lounging on the couch. Water, Lucas answers. Milk, Hawkeye adds. Orange juice, Des calls out. Apple juice, Troy responds. Surprise me, Samuel says, paying very little attention to who asked the question. I'll have tea, and you already have a drink. I point to the drink in his hand. I'll get to work on everyone's drink, I add, with a mischievous smirk. Samuel shouldn't have said surprise me. The hash browns are done, and everything is plated. I look over, and she finished making everyone's drinks. Now he is working on Samuel's. Several different foods surround his glass, such as tomatoes, citric acid, carrots, salt, pepper, raw egg, spinach, kale, high-fiber cereal, bacon bits, grease, and much more. Sometimes I think she forgets that Samuel is a human. He mixes it all together. It makes a brownish-gray color, and it has several layers. She sets the drink next to Samuel's plate as everyone is coming up to eat. Sheer fear shows in Samuel's eyes as he remembers what he said, and he knows that he has to drink it. Please no, Samuel pleads with complete horror in his eyes. You should have paid attention. She shows a devilish smirk. We all sit down and start eating. I can tell that Samuel is saving his drink, and his life, until he's finished eating. Samuel normally likes drinking after every 3 bites. I could see the anger, turning into pure fire in his eyes. We finish eating, and now everyone is staring at Samuel. She seems the happiest about this. He's just sitting there, with his head in his hands and smiling, just waiting for Samuel to pretty much poison himself. Come on, you wouldn't want to waste it. Drink up, she speaks up, appearing impatient yet amused. Maybe we should cut him some slack, Hawkeye suggests, putting her hand on his shoulder to try and calm him down. No, you know the rules. We all had to drink these kinds of drinks. This isn't the first time he drank something like this anyway, she yells, pushing the glass closer to Samuel. Everyone else is sitting there in fear for Samuel's life. Samuel grabs the glass and starts to drink it. Plenty of different emotions start to fly through his face. Disgust, fear, joy, addiction, vomit, which I think he drank up, and all over again for about 2 minutes straight. When he finished, he slammed down the glass and walked to the center of the room. Are you alright, Samuel? Hawkeye asked with worry in her voice. All of a sudden, his powers went wild. His takeover powers were constantly switching between all of his monsters. He was screeching in pain, a blood-curdling scream. Everyone, get back! Troy shouts, pulling me to safety. We're all sitting in the corner of the room, watching as Samuel held his hands to his head, tears rolling down his face, and screaming, getting close to the point of breaking windows. 5 minutes pass, and it's finally over. Dust and smoke is slowly clearing. As the smoke clears, a beast, a monster, is in the center of my living room. although it's none of the forms that Samuel owns. She and Hawkeye stand in front of us, becoming she Sissy Hawkeye. Are they actually going to fight that thing? The beast is about 10 feet tall, with long black hair all around it, mud and something red dripping down it. Is it blood? What kind of monster is that? Where did it come from? Its eyes are pure black and glowing. It wears a gold crown. Its ears are about a meter long and its claws 10 times that. It had fangs covered in blood. Who did it kill? The beast turns to us and starts looking around. It sees us sitting in a corner with fear on our faces. She Sissy Hawkeye are ready to attack, just waiting for it to throw the first punch. The monster looks at his hands and runs to a mirror, touching its face and poking its teeth. Yep, that's Samuel, Des says with laughter in his voice. That drink must have given him a new monster soul. But where did it come from? Where the hell did she get a soul? I don't know. I never fought anything like that, she says, turning back to normal. I walk up to Samuel and slap my hand on his shoulder. Let's get you back to normal. School's starting soon. She, get your parents. Hawkeye, get Samuel's parents. Get our parents. Hawkeye, get Samuel's parents. Troy starts yelling, telling everyone what to do. They disappear, and I look over and notice Lucas is sitting in the corner, shaking. I walk over to him and softly ask, "Is everything okay?" "Is this normal for you guys?" Lucas asks, not even looking up at me. His entire body continues to shake from fear. "Not the whole monster thing," I respond reassuringly. "Okay, I think I need to sit down," Lucas mumbles, standing up and wobbling from side to side to the countertop chairs. I just smile and shake my head at him, then walk over to Des. "Ready for school?" "Just a casual morning. Of course I'm ready," Des jokes as he uses me as something to lean on. She makes it back with my parents. Hawkeye shows up empty-handed. They were too busy. They told us to speak with our teachers and principal about it. Hawkeye explains, out of breath. "Where's Samuel?" My dad, Richard Deathchill, asks and looks around frantically. We look over and see Samuel still in beast form, putting on makeup and crying. "Looks like he got a new monster soul. Nice job," Richard says, giving him a thumbs up. "He can't get out of it," Troy exclaims, turning to him. "You guys get to school and speak with your teachers about it." My mother, Mercedes Deathchill, grabs our bags and turns to Samuel. "You're most likely gonna have to wear the power-canceling jewelry." "Come on, Lucas, let's go," I whisper, turning to him. My parents take one look at him and start to laugh, most likely because he's new to our friend group and isn't used to this stuff. We get to school a few hours early to try and get this done as soon as possible, going straight to the principal's office and explain what's going on. He then calls our teachers in. "So, Samuel, got a new monster soul, huh?" Mr. Stern enters the room chuckling. "It had to be this weird furry bloody thing." "Mrs. Chirper, you study this kind of thing. What monster is this?" Mr. Diamondship asks. "It's a Sholo, a carnivorous monster, native to swamplands and snowy mountains. It only eats humans, and has been extinct for over 5,000 years. It can increase your strength," Mrs. Chirper exclaims, as she goes full nerd mode. "It can also summon its own offspring and collect souls." "Well, Mr. Stern, your lesson today will be on how to control your powers. And Mrs. Chirper, yours will be on the history of monsters." Mr. Diamondship tells them what their new lesson plans are. "So we have to wait until gym to learn how to control our powers?" Hawkeye yells out of nowhere. "Yes, and don't forget the ranks are being announced today," Mr. Diamondship reminds us. "Now get out of my office." We exit into the hallway, and I see Anne waiting outside. She most likely already read my mind and was caught up on everything. "Is Samuel okay?" she asks, pulling me into a hug. I'm happy that we're still friends. I'm happy that she's happy. I missed her so much. "Yeah, and today's classes were switched," I respond, hugging her tighter. "We have to go back to work now. See you guys at dinner," Mercedes says, as she and Richard wave us goodbye. "Group hug!" Hawkeye yells the second she noticed Anne. Samuel even brings us in for a hug, most likely forgetting that he's a giant Sholo. We all break into laughter, and Lucas is a little distraught by all the mud, fur, and blood. Seriously, where did all of that blood come from? Where did this monster's soul even come from? Let's head to the field and get a head start on trying to figure this out, she suggests, breaking the hug. We'll head to the library and do some more research on the Sholo, Troy says as he and Des leave the rest of us. He looks over his shoulder and yells, "We'll contact you if we find something." "Okay, good luck," Anne yells back to them. We make it to the field and have about an hour to fix this as much as we can. "Alright, everyone, circle around Samuel. Get ready to attack," Anne shouts, pointing us to our positions. "What's the plan?" Hawkeye asks, taking She's hand. Samuel has terror written all over his face. "Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you. We're just going to test out your strength," Anne reassures him. Samuel anxiously gets into a blocking position, and we get ready to attack. All of a sudden, a tiny thing starts to fly around us. It's Troy's Kinnet. "Everyone, stop!" Anne yells. A Kinnet is a flying communication device that can find anyone that the person wants to talk to. Some of them have holograms, others only have vocals. Des and Troy's have the holograms, but mine only has the voice. The Kinnet lands on the ground, and Troy's hologram appears. "We found some new information on the Sholo," Troy exclaims, with the sternest face I've ever seen him wear. "Yes, it is true that they have been extinct for a millennia, but their souls can still be found if they choose that you are worthy of controlling them. Samuel must have been chosen because of that drink. The monster must have come out in order to protect him." "So how are we supposed to get him back to normal?" Lucas asks, finally getting the guts to speak up. "I'm guessing that he'll finally have control again once that drink is finally out of his system," Troy responds. "Can you please give me that book next time I see you?" Hawkeye asks. "Sure. See you guys later," Troy finishes. "Bye." Everyone answers and Troy ends the call. The Kinnet flies off into the sky and we all turn to Samuel, where he's doing a little happy dance. "Well, seems we gotta give him fiber and make him run," Lucas says, suddenly seeming more confident. "We got 50 minutes. She and Hawkeye get as much fiber-rich foods as you can. Anne gets us lots of water. And Samuel," he pauses for a moment. If Samuel hadn't recently got his nails done, then he'd probably be biting them. "Run." "What about me?" I ask him. "Make him cold," Lucas responds, making me seem somewhat unimportant. The Sholo forms a wide frown. Samuel doesn't seem to be happy about this. "Go, go, go!" Lucas yells and waves his hand in the air. She and Hawkeye teleport away. Lucas is yelling at Samuel to run, and Anne is running to get lots of water. And I'm basically making this entire area skip fall and go straight to winter. I don't know why Lucas told Anne to get water since he could summon and control it himself. He probably forgot about his powers because of everything that has just happened. After a few minutes, she and Hawkeye teleport back with fruits, vegetables, and high-fiber cereals. Anne makes it back with the several gallons of water, and Lucas is now steering Samuel towards us so he can eat. He stops right in front of me. If I could understand what he was saying, I would probably try to help him. But I can't, and Anne is the only one that can possibly understand and help him. "I'm sorry, but this is for your own good," Anne says, pulling Samuel in for a hug. "On the bright side, this might be one of your strongest forms," I mention with a laugh. Samuel just gives me a death stare, then shrugs in agreement. "Give him the fiber and water. Lexus, make him cold the whole time," Lucas demands. "Got it," we all say in unison. She and Hawkeye start shoving the food down Samuel's massive bloody throat. Anne was pouring water down every 3 bites, and Lucas was controlling the water so then the digestion process will go more quickly. Meanwhile, I was just standing there, making him feel cold. My part isn't that much of a big deal. It probably wouldn't change anything if I weren't here. Anne looks over at me again and stops what she's doing. When everyone else notices her staring at me, they stop. automatically knowing that I was thinking down on myself again. Group hug, and yells, pulling me in and whispers in my ear. From now on, every time you think badly about yourself, we get to punch you. I put on a fake smile and empty all of my thoughts in my head, so she doesn't know what I'm actually thinking. Deal. Samuel is hugging us as well. Normally, when Samuel does do a takeover, a little bit of the monster's personality is still there. So it's either these monsters really love hugs, or it supports Samuel so much that it doesn't want to change anything for him. We've got 5 minutes left. Hakai, help. Lucas prompts us again. 6 people to grade 9 sector classroom. All aboard! She shouts, teleporting us away. We make it to the classroom, and Lucas turns to Samuel. By the way, in about 1 hour you'll be living on the toilet. But the good news is, you'll be able to go back to your normal form again. Samuel lets out a loud cry, and we take our seats. The bell rings, and the teacher greets us. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone's day? A mixture of responses erupts from the crowd. Good, bad, middle, silly, dark, terrifying, creepy. Casual stuff for high schoolers. Aw, that's no good. Well, I'm going to tell you guys what we're going to do today, before the ranks are announced, Mrs. Jerper exclaims, pointing to the humongous board in front of the classroom. Today we'll be learning about different beasts. Without missing a beat, the announcements start. Good. Good morning, everyone. Today is September 7th, 6078, and I'll be announcing the ranks from first to last. Here we go. In first place, Darren Monkson. Second, Daria Monkson. Third, Rachel Zapp. Nothing new there. Fifth, Brickstick. Isn't that the creep that can see into the future? 10th, Apollo Aries. Damn, an 8th grader so far up in the ranks? Good for him. He deserves a celebration. 17th, Olivia Time. Good for her, but she's still one of Rebecca's little puppies. 68th, Rebecca Diamond Ship. I bet she's staring and laughing at me from a whole different sector. 99th, Deathchill. There's one of my brothers. It's a little sad that they are separated, but I'm sure that they'll be together soon enough. 101st, Troy Deathchill. They're probably hugging and crying in each other's arms right now. 143rd, Stephen Stormcry. He's pretty cool. The Stormcry family are pretty generous people. 156th, Lexus Deathchill. That's me. Everyone around me starts clapping and smacking me on the shoulders in celebration. 157th, Lucas Blue. I turn to him and give him a fist bump. 176th, Hawkeye Shinnet. The boys in the classroom start catcalling her. Lucas douses them in water and I give them frostbite. 321st, Francisco Mirror. There's one of my brother's friends. 555th, Patrick Stormcry. I'm so happy that this is going so much faster compared to the first day of school. 600, Griffin Vixen. I can sense Samuel's smile grow as wide as he heard Griffin's name. 666th, She Hakaitit. I look over and she's doing his I'm better than you dance. 677th, Blaze Ruffalo. I wonder how his classmates are responding to that rank right now. 678th, Samuel Starsprinkle. Right when his name is announced, his body starts to digest all of the fiber, and he runs to the bathroom. She teleports up to Mrs. Jerper and whispers in her ear, most likely telling her why he ran out. She nods and she teleports back to his seat. 679th, Storm Ruffalo. All of the guys in the class start chanting and smacking his back. 1111th, Zing Hunter. Poor guy. Since he's a lower rank than Rebecca, she'll definitely break up with him any second now. Samuel comes back into the classroom and takes a seat. He's still in the Sholo form. He probably has a lot more to digest still. The second he takes a seat, he changes back to normal. We'll be able to know if he can still access it once gym starts. 45,682nd, James Aubrey. Just another person closer to Anne's horrible rank being announced. 99,999th, Rodrigo Lopez. Damn, he was so close to 100,000th. 100,000th, Brian Pino. Of course. Frankly, I'm surprised that Brian got so high. 100,976th, Stephanie Diamondship. That girl's getting punished really badly tonight. Her parents are way too strict on her. She's just a child. If they continue treating her like this, then she'll end up just like her big sister, Rebecca, and nobody who has to deal with her wants that to happen. Finally, last and to very few not least, in 200,976th, Anne Aubrey. Those are the rankings, and the team rankings will start on Monday next week. Have a great day, everybody. Mr. Diamondship finally finishes the announcements. The whole room goes silent. You can hear subtle laughter coming from the other sectors. Everyone stops and looks at Anne. Some faces look like they're ready to break into laughter as well, some completely blank, others with concern and a hint of menace. "Are you going to be okay, Anne?" I whispered to her. "I'll be fine. My rank will only matter in testing and challenges." Anne whispers back, not breaking eye contact with the teacher. The others are completely struck with shock. Lucas turns to me and asks, "Is this why she was so upset yesterday?" Anne slowly looks at him and nods. "We don't care what your rank is. We know you for the amazing person that you are." She and Hawkeye both say in unison. "That was kind of creepy, but group hug!" Samuel yells. We all bring Anne into a little group hug, and a few people from outside our group of friends join us. Brian Pino, Storm Ruffalo. But the rest, I don't know. Although we probably have a good 200 people hugging us. I look around, and the people who look like they were going to break into laughter before are smiling now. Most likely Brian's doing. "Alright, class, take your seats," Miss Jerper interrupts. We break the hug and go to take our seats. As I was saying today, I will be teaching you guys on different kinds of monsters. This will be the most helpful for the people who use takeover magic, but it's a requirement for everyone to know for their own safety, in case of encounter with one of these monsters, she continues. All of the takeover magic users start to cheer and celebrate. Mrs. Dripper shows a black and white picture of a Sholo. This is a Sholo, a carnivorous monster native to swamplands and snowy mountains. It only eats humans, and has been extinct for over 5,000 years. Its average height is 10 feet tall. It is covered in fur, mud, and blood. Its claws and fangs tend to be bigger than the tallest human on the majority of surrounding planets. Brian looks at the picture, and then points at Samuel. "Isn't that what he was about an hour ago?" "Yes, it is. He has been chosen to be able to wield this monster." Mrs. Dripper responds with a proud look in Samuel's direction. Whoa, wait. If the monster has been extinct for over 5,000 years, how did he get its soul? Brian asks, with a weird, pitchy voice for some reason. "They went extinct because humans attack what they fear, and they feared nature. That's why there are more herbivores than carnivores, or even omnivores," Mrs. Dripper responds, picking up some weird device. "This is a Puru. It was solely designed to kill Sholos." "So did magic users make that, or non-magic users?" Stephen Stormcry asks, seemingly only interested in the technology and not much of the creatures. "Magic users made it after a few baby Sholos found their way to civilization and started gnawing on a few babies," Mrs. Dripper responds nonchalantly. "We could have just hunted them down ourselves since we have powers, but we can't use magic around non-magic users out of the chance of getting spotted. So we created the Puru. You point it at someone and it enhances their scent, luring the Sholo towards them. That way we can take them somewhere private, and if you press this button," Miss Dripper points to the button of the stick-looking device, "it will weaken the monster and kill it where its soul will be stored here." She points at 8 long, see-through tubes on the side of the lightsaber-looking device. We would then give the souls to take over magic users in the military. But even then, they wouldn't be able to use that soul unless it was a life or death situation. So how did Samuel get its soul? Brian asks, pointing at Samuel with his thumb. One night a windcap, I'll tell you guys what that monster is next, wandered into a laboratory where we were keeping the souls, and ended up breaking everything, setting all the souls free, latching onto everything, even babies. We tried to retain the souls, but after 10 minutes of them being free, they became invisible. So we can't, Mrs. Gerber exclaims. Also, there are Sholo souls pretty much everywhere. They're kind of like oxygen now, Mrs. Gerber continues. If you guys have any more questions, you can ask me after class. The class seems oddly interested in this topic. They all are looking forward and paying attention to everything the teacher has to say. Some are even taking notes. Mrs. Gerber presses a button on her remote, and the slide changes. This is a windcap, a magic-vorous monster, native to areas with large amounts of magic. It eats magic powers out of the air, and when angered, it can even eat your own magic power. When it's a baby, it eats its parents' magic power. Also, female windcaps have more magic power than the males, and it is one of the 3 monsters that aren't endangered. Its average height is 3 feet tall. It can reach a maximum height of 5 feet tall and a minimum height of 5 inches tall. It looks like a rat, but has glowing stripes on its body, and its eyes glow in the colors of its mood. Some people in the class continue to take notes. Samuel's stomach makes a booming grumble that causes a few heads to turn. However, most of us ignore it. No one responds, so Mrs. Gerber moves on to the next monster. This is a Juoibi, a herbivorous monster. It's native to grasslands and around large populations of people. It only eats weeds and flowers, and is one of the 3 monsters who are not endangered. Its average height is 7 feet tall. It can reach a maximum height of 12 feet tall and a minimum of 2 feet tall. Depending on where it's from, it can either be covered in grass, dirt, and trees, or metal, titanium, and plastic. Its eyes tend to be bigger than their mouths, and tend to love everything. Everyone starts to break into laughter. Who here has at least one of these 3 monsters that Mrs. Gerber just named? Mr. Stern asks, bursting through the door. About 40 kids raise their hands, including Samuel. I have all 3 so far, Samuel calls out. Stern does a little chuckle. And you're the only one that can say that because of the Sholo soul. What are you doing here? Mrs. Gerber asks, turning to Mr. Stern. I'm here to take over magic users and Samuel's friends to train, Mr. Stern declares, signaling to us to follow him. Why us? Lucas whispers to me. She and Hawkeye teleport everyone to the training field. Is this everyone? She asks. Yes, it is, Mr. Stern responds with a nod. Alright, everyone line up over there, except for Samuel. Try to change into the Sholo soul again. We all line up in front of the bleachers, and Samuel steps up to the center of the field, which is probably about 20 kilometers away from the sidelines. Lexus, use your death power on him, Mr. Stern orders, turning to me. What? Why? All of us respond, except for the other random takeover users who are still clueless. Fine, give him one try, then use your power on him, Mr. Stern says with a sigh. That still doesn't answer my question, I mumble. I think it's because he wants you to weaken him with it. That way the Sholo soul will try to protect him, Lucas assumes, putting his hand on my shoulder, trying to comfort me. It's not really working. You're asking me to weaken him with my death power. Death is not for weakening. I start yelling at him in his stupidity. Fine, then weaken him with your fire or cold powers, Mr. Stern mutters, pointing at Samuel. You get one try, then I'm speeding things up. Samuel nods at him, then looks at me and gets in a stance to prepare to change. Take over! Sholo soul! Samuel yells. He gets it on the first try. That Sholo must really like him. I wonder what's about him that separates him from the rest. Bravo, Samuel, Mr. Stern cheers, clapping along with everyone else. Now, everyone else, use your most powerful monsters and try to fight Samuel one-on-one. Samuel looks ready. This must be part of the Sholo soul. Samuel doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would be confident in this situation. Though I wouldn't be surprised if they become best friends. Everyone changes into their beast forms and lines up one by one. Some furry beasts, other muddy beasts. The boy in front of the line introduces his monster soul. Take over. Atkidnich soul. The boy starts attacking so quickly I couldn't get a good look at the beast's appearance. He tries to knock him down and stops in his tracks the second he runs into Samuel. Now that things have slowed down, I finally got a good look at the soul. It looked a lot like a healthy farm hog, and had red stripes in the same pattern as zebra stripes. I think that the boy got knocked out or something, because he isn't moving. Samuel's just scratching his head and poking at him. Of course, because of his long nails, the poor boy starts to bleed. The shoulder form enhances strength, speed, balance, and protection, Mr. Stern shouts, writing something down on his clipboard. She teleports the boy out of the way, and a girl walks up. Zingop! She transforms into a 1-foot-tall bird, silent and fast and can fly. She swoops down to try and pick up Samuel, but instantly fails. So next she flies straight into him, and tries to pierce his skin with her beak, which almost breaks. She flies to the back of the line, and changes her form back into human. She's holding her face, and I notice a bit of blood drip down onto the grass. Wait, why didn't she have to say take over and then it's soul? One person in the line asks in a loud voice. Once you improve your skills more, eventually you guys won't have to say anything in order to change forms, Mr. Stern answers. Another girl walks up, except this girl looks more muscular, with much more broad shoulders. She's built like a man, but still clearly a girl. I would hate to get in a hand-on-hand fight with her. Take over. Lioness soul. Everyone else starts laughing, probably because she didn't use any of the magical animals. The girl starts running laps around him, and attacks from behind, piercing his skin. Fur, blood, and mud getting all over the lioness. Samuel lets out a yelp and swings at the lioness, setting it flying. Did it actually hurt Samuel? How? So far nothing has hurt him. The girl's teeth didn't even break. The lioness almost flies into a pole, until Hawkeye teleports her back into the bleachers, possibly saving her life. Alright everyone, time's up. Now you guys are going to practice how to take over without saying anything, Mr. Stern calls out, checking if the girl's still conscious. She probably has some trauma from almost dying. I agree, Anne says to me as she nudges my arm. I would say that I don't like it when she reads my mind, but I have nothing to hide from her. Something that Anne and I like to do is go somewhere in public with non-magic users and just talk using her powers. Said we go to a cafe or something, and I would be asking yes or no questions, and Anne would read my mind and answer accordingly. I just love how everyone would stare at us in awe, and some would even think we're crazy. Anne laughs and gives me a little side hug. Everyone spreads out and starts to practice using their takeover magic, with saying as little as possible. I think that it's a good idea, because if anything bad happens, then they can change without bringing any sort of attention to them. Take over. You may go now, Samuel says, switching back to his normal form. Hey, Mr. Stern, what does our schedule look like today? Lucas asks, turning to the teacher. We've already called into the school in the human world. You guys will be late to class, so until then you guys will be helping Samuel train. Mr. Stern explains. So, no lunch? She asks. Sorry, no, Mr. Stern apologizes. Well, what's the goal? Hawkeye asks, staring at everyone switching in and out of their forms. Just to get as far as possible. You guys are only going to be like 30 minutes late, Mr. Stern answers, joining her and watching them. Alright, Samuel, time to get to work, Anne claps her hands, pushing him to an empty area of the field. Go with something small, like the first monster that was either given to you or earned, Mr. Stern suggests, not even looking back at us. Alright, Samuel responds. Take over. Zingop soul, Samuel says, gliding to the ground and changing back. Come on, you got this, Anne and Lucas cheers simultaneously. Zingopso, Samuel yells. Swiftly after he says it, his arms turn into tiny wings. Wait, let me take a picture, she yells, grabbing his phone. I can tell that Samuel's trying to smile, but he just can't. Mainly because Samuel has a faint beak at the moment, so it literally is physically impossible. Got it, she says, putting his phone away. Anne whispers as Samuel changes back. May I have some water? Samuel asks, turning to Lucas. Sure, man. Lucas smiles, summoning some water for Samuel. Samuel starts drinking the water, and about half of the people here have already figured out how to say fewer words. The girl that only had to say the name of the soul that she is using can already change without saying anything. Let's try this again, Samuel exclaims, with a motivated spark in his words, as he gets into position. Zingop soul! Samuel still has the wings, except the beak is more defined, and he's much smaller now. That is so ugly, Hawkeye yells, looking at the mix of the bird and Samuel. Photo shoot, she yells, grabbing his phone. Samuel quickly changes back, but she has already taken about 20 pictures. You shoot the photo, and I shoot you in the head. Alright. Let's just try this again. You're almost there, she says, slowly turning to Hawkeye and whispering, Yearbook. Samuel tries one more time. Zingop soul. We watch as he yells over the hundreds of voices, all stopping and turning to face him. Complete silence broke out as we all watched Samuel change form. He succeeded. He is a perfect recreation of his old pet, Precious, the first soul that he has received. Applause broke out in the crowd, and even a few cheers. Then everyone continues to work on themselves. I did it, Samuel stutters, in complete shock as he changes back. Don't practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong, Lucas says, pointing his finger up with his eyes closed. It seems that he's trying to sound wise. Samuel gives Lucas the finger and continues. Zingop soul. Samuel changes perfectly again, and he changes back and glances directly at Lucas. Keep going. Lucas smiles at him. Samuel gives Lucas a dirty look and tries again. Samuel has done the same thing over 20 times. Lunch is already over, and we have about 10 minutes until we have to go to our non-magic school. Samuel now only has to say the name of the soul in order to take over. He may be able to say nothing by the time gym starts. Okay, guys, grab your jewelry and go to school, Mr. Stern yells, throwing jewelry at us. See you guys in a minute, Anne says, putting on a ring. You just love messing up Fast and Furious quotes, don't you? Hawkeye laughs, putting on a necklace. Anne just smiles and disappears. Everyone is almost gone. A few random people. Samuel and I are left. I bet that you're excited to see Julian, Samuel grins at me as he puts on his earrings. I finish putting on my brooch, smile without saying anything, and teleport to the school. I appear about a block away from the school in an alleyway. Makes sense. Can't risk non-magic users finding us out, starting a whole war. I leave the alleyway and notice that everyone is already here, and they even have some Tim Hortons for me as well. Well, it's about time, Lucas exclaims, handing me a muffin. Here, your favorite. Hawkeye offers as she hands me an Ice Cap Supreme Vanilla. Thanks, by the way. Samuel should be here any second now. I say, picking at my muffin. We made sure to get sprinkles and extra cream for him, and his favorite red velvet cookie, she says, slapping my back as I was drinking my drink, almost making me choke. Red velvet? Samuel shouts excitedly, emerging from the alley. Gimme, gimme, gimme! Come on, let's get to class, Lucas insists as he tosses him the drink and cookie. Cookie! Samuel yells, doing a Cookie Monster impression. Samuel downs the whole cookie in under a second. It may not be very big, but still big enough to at least take 3 seconds to eat. We get to school and sign in within around 40 minutes until we leave for gym class. I wonder how Julian is doing. Ooh, you love him, Anne vocalizes in a mocking voice. How does she even know that what I'm thinking? Am I being that obvious? Love who? Lucas asks, a little worried by the answer. Julian, Anne responds, still using that damn voice. I do not, I yell at her. You're wondering how he's doing right now, Anne claims, slowly backing off from the voice. Lexus, you know we can't date non-magic users until they're approved by the council, and you need at least 10 references to even be considered, she says with his little smart guy voice. You don't actually like him though, right, Lexus? Lucas asks me with an anxious, driven voice. Of course not, I respond, doing my best to hide the fact that my face is turning red. She totally does, Anne squeaks, without leaving even a second of silence between us. Aren't you a little hurt? Hawkeye whispers to him. Unlike Lucas, I'm actually able to hide how I'm truly feeling. She whispers even quieter, so I wouldn't hear them. I still could, though, and Anne can read their minds somehow. This whole time, Samuel is drinking his drink and skipping the class, somehow not showing any care for what is happening. Julian came out of nowhere and put his arms around me. So you have a crush on me, huh? The end. And that is this week's episode. So let's now go over last week's scene. My skin is dark green, knuckles red and fingertips black. The floor below me is a dark gray concrete, covered in the blue dust of my pink past. A shadowy figure paces from one side of the room to the other, red curtains blocking out a few of the windows there are. Their eyes are silver and glistening, but whenever our gazes lock, they spit venom, and resume with the dizzying pacing. Let's start off with the first sentence. My skin is dark green, knuckles red, and fingertips black. In this case, dark green can mean greed and experience and jealousy. Red can mean anger, passion, and violence. And black can mean tense, nervous, and harassed. At the moment, this person is suffering through greediness and experience and jealousy. They've recently been fighting, hence their knuckles are red, and their fingertips are portraying how they're tense and nervous. The floor below me is a dark gray concrete, covered in the blue dust of my pink past. In this case, dark gray can mean anxious, strained, and hidden. Blue can mean trust, loyalty, and peace, and pink can mean love, tranquility, and youth. They are currently stuck on a level of hidden anxiety and strain. Bits of loyalty and trust can be found, but it's otherwise non-existent, just like their past of love and usefulness. A shadowy figure paces from one side of the room to the other, red curtains blocking out the few windows there are. In this instance, the shadowy figure can also mean its own thing. For instance, a friend that the person no longer recognizes as someone they once knew. Red can mean passion, anger, and danger. In mentioning how there are few windows can also mean its own thing. This sentence can mean that the person they once knew is pacing around, fabric of anger and danger blocking out what little openings there are that reveal one's true self. Their eyes are silver and glistening, but whenever our gazes lock, they spit venom, and resume with the dizzying pacing. Some believe that the eyes are a window into the soul, or however the saying is, so just keep that in mind. Silver can mean modern and classy, and just like the last sentence, venom can also mean its own thing, though in this case I'd say it just means swearing or cussing them out. So this sentence can mean that they are normally classy and modern, though sad, hence the glistening. Whenever they look at each other, the person cusses them out and continues to frantically pace. So, let's quickly read over the scene again and I'll translate it for you all. My skin is dark green, knuckles red and fingertips black. The floor below me is a dark gray concrete, covered in the blue dust of my pink past. A shadowy figure paces from one side of the room to the other, red curtains blocking out the few windows there are. Their eyes are silver and glistening, but whenever our gazes lock, they spit venom and resume with the dizzying pacing. Now that you all have a slight explanation, I'll give you all a few seconds to think it through, or you can pause it if you need more time. Alright, so, this person is currently suffering through greed and jealousy. They put up a fight, making their fists red with blood and anger. But their fingertips are showing that they are really nervous, tense, and have been harassed. The person is currently anxious and strained. Though the loyalty and trust of their past can be found sprinkled throughout the dark room, it is all just a distant echo of their once loving youth. A person that they once called a friend is pacing the room. Now they are no longer recognizable. They're covering up their few windows with anger and aggression, making it more impossible with the few chances they give for anyone else on the outside to be able to see what's really going on the inside. They are normally a modern and classy person, though at the moment they are heartbroken and sad. Whenever they lock eyes, the figure cusses the person out, and continues to frantically pace, unsure as what to do. And that is what that scene means. How many of you were correct, or at least close? So, without further ado, let's get into this week's scene. My dress is sparkly and purple. The tiara that rests atop my head glimmers with the navy of my kingdom, though that is nothing compared to the thin layer of black that covers the people all around me, and the red fog blinding others from what was supposed to be a day of pink and blue. For the Spotify listeners, there'll be a Q&A somewhere on this episode that you can answer, and be sure to keep an eye out for the next episode for the answer. Check out my newly published novel on Amazon called Deathchill, link in description. Check out the Creative Writing Club Discord server in the description. Check out the Creative Writing Club Instagram at creativewriting_club. Check out my personal Instagram at dark_night_wolves. And let's bring this deathly meeting to an end.